I really enjoy using artificial lures that enable me to fish different depths, different speeds. For example, I love crankbaits, and crankbaits are designed to run at a different depth. But I know that if I hold my rod tip up, I can make those crankbaits run a little bit shallower. Or if I want the crankbaits to go down a little bit, I'll stick my rod in the water, sometimes 3, 4, even 5 feet, and I know that I can get that extra diving depth with the same lure. When I'm trolling and trying to cover a large area to find out what depth of fish are at, I like to use a lure that I can either run deeper by adding things to it, or without adding any weight to it, to have it run shallow. Then it's a matter of experimenting with the speed that I'm traveling at, and sooner or later I'm going to encounter fish. Many anglers will use different types of lures to achieve all those different diving depths. I like the idea of using one lure that I can manipulate to do a lot of different things. Now, there's only certain classic lures that you can do that with. For example, I can use a simple original Rapala that I can fish just below the surface because it's made out of wood and it floats, has no rattles. Or I can add a couple of split shot, maybe 20 or 24 inches up the line, and it helps me to cast farther. And I can also let it sink because a split shot will take it down deeper and then I can retrieve it. If I'm fishing faster water and fishing close to the bottom, I can use a bottom walking sinker with a short lead in that same Rapala and literally fish it right along the bottom, even in 40, 50, 60 feet of water. When I'm using a wobbling lure and I add weight to my line, I always make sure that the weight is far enough that the lure is still allowed to have a really good action. For example, you don't want to have a sinker like 4 or 5 inches away from the lure. So it's a good idea to use some kind of a lead, anywhere from 14 inches up to 3 or 4 feet long. That way you'll get the best swimming action from the lure and the fish won't be distracted. Whenever I'm fishing big waters like the Great Lakes and I'm targeting fish like salmon and trout that can be as deep as 100+ feet, I'll use something that delivers my lure down that deep, like a downrigger or a deep sea diver or a jet diver. Being a wise fisherman, you got to be a little bit crafty. That means having the right terminal tackle, having a lot of different weights in your tackle box, some diving devices. That way, no matter what fishing conditions you encounter for the fish you're going after, you'll be prepared to put that lure right in front of them, and before you know it, you'll have a fish on.